What is going on, everyone? It's your guy Cole Jackson. I'm back here on Road Graders, powered today by BetUS, and we are going to be talking about the Baltimore Ravens secondary, a topic that I don't think any of you are that excited to watch. This was a painful watch for me, taking a look at Joe Burrow going 30 for 39, 392 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, taking 3 sacks along the way. But obviously Jamar Chase going for 10 for 193 and 2, and T. Higgins going for 9 for 83 and 2. So, their best receivers going out, making plays. We're going to take a look at kind of what happened, and there's been this ongoing debate that I want to explore. Was it scheme? Was it execution? And really taking a look at what's going on with Zach Orr here, because I thought he had a hell of a game against Buffalo Bills. Did a video on it, how he shut down Josh Allen, took away the middle of the field, took away his legs, and then this happens, right? So, kind of one step forward, 2 steps back for the Baltimore Ravens defense. You guys are looking forward to this breakdown. Hit that like button for me. Hit subscribe if you're new here. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. You guys know when I go through coverages, I always want to hear from you guys. I'll always see it a little bit differently. I encourage you guys to go check out the other videos. I know Coach Evans at Sip to Tally, A22 Films, Coach DC there. They'll be putting out videos on these topics. They'll see things differently than I did. They'll pick up things that I didn't touch on. All of it is great content. Go check those guys out. So let's get into it here. Before we do, though, thank you to BetUS for sponsoring this video. Lines for this weekend already up. Don't forget another 9:30 game with the London game happening, Jags-Bears. And obviously Ravens lines already up. Ravens open, it's -6 favorites. Go over to BetUS, check out the lines, and right now you can get a 150% deposit bonus on your first deposit with 125% match on your next 2, up to a maximum of $2,000 using promo code 150. Go do that. Check them out. So let's get into it here. So really what we're going to be doing, taking a look at these plays, deciding was it a scheme issue, was it a skill issue, an execution issue, whatever we want to call them. We're going to see a lot of these. So you're going to see Marlon Humphrey versus Jamar Chase here at the top of your screen in tight, and Chase is just going to basically run like a little bit of like a Texas route where he's just going to go out and up, kind of like a post corner. And this is just gaining separation, right? So this is your quintessential good play by an outside wide receiver. He's going to take Marlon out to the out point here and then just break off of that. And you see right there the separation. So again, these are the types of things that I want to take a look at on some of these big plays. Was it skill? Was it execution? Was it scheme? And try and get a little bit of a better sense of what happened. You get another play here, Jazeki out here. And this one's an interesting one. So they're going to run it out of the bunch here. And what the Ravens do schematically is you get Jamar Chase down here alone against Brandon Stevens, and you're going to see Marcus Williams, the safety on this side. He's actually going to bracket. So he's going to drop, and it's kind of a combo coverage. I wouldn't call this cover 2 because they are playing some man with it. So it's not cover 2, but they're going to drop. That's why it's a combo coverage. They're going to drop the safety and bracket Jamar Chase, and you'll see Brandon Stevens, once Jamar Chase releases, he's going to actually face backwards and play trail technique. So you see right there, Stevens is going to let him release outside, and he's going to play underneath him, and he is doing this purposely because Marcus Williams is over top. So they didn't want the boundary receiver solo on the wide side of the field to beat them, essentially. So what they end up with, and what Burrow does, is he sees that and he looks into the bunch. And so the reason I think it's a combo coverage is because you're going to get man here from I don't know who the outside corner is there. It might be Wiggins. You're going to get Marlon in here, and you're going to get Roquan pass off to Eddie Jackson, who's going to follow this out. And I actually think he breaks on the ball really well. This is just placed perfectly. It's a good catch at the sideline. Obviously, we saw it on the replay. 2 feet barely come in. So, I mean, like, I think this is a good scheme. I think they're going to take their best wide receiver out of it, who's isolated on the boundary away from the bunch. So they're trying to create that one-on-one matchup. And I think the Ravens schematically respond well to it. It's just Jazeki goes out and makes a great play. Burrow makes a great throw. That sometimes will happen. And so, it's hard for me to look at Zach Orr and the schematic organization of the defense on that play and be like, we blew that. Like, sometimes guys make plays on both sides of the balls. And that's kind of my overall take on the broad scheme versus execution debate is their offensive players throughout the majority of this game, we'll see a little bit at the end, made more plays than our defensive players. Simple as that. Let's keep working here. So Higgins is going to go across the screen, and the Ravens are going to be what I think is cover 6, and I'll show you what I mean. So Brandon Stephens actually gets the PBU here, which is funny. So you can see the ball on the ground there, but you can see from this play, Stephens has his back to the ball the entire time. He does put his hand up late because he sees Higgins go up for it, but make no mistake about it, this was potentially a very big gain. And so quarter, half, or cover 6, quarters defense, whatever you want to call it, you get the safety here on the wide side of the field, which is Kyle Hamilton in this case. He's going to have the deep half, and then you're going to get Eddie Jackson, I think that is, and Brandon Stephens splitting up the remainder of the screen with quarter. So one fourth, and then you got 4 hook zones underneath. So that looks like, so again, if we're talking schematically, Brandon Stephens, and I mean Higgins is getting a running start, kind of like with the Dolphins do with Tyreek Hill all the time. So Stephens has to protect that deep 1 quarter, and you can see right here, usually if it's 1 quarter defense, you're going to see that direct back pedal rather than him coming in. So this isn't cover 2. I don't think anyway, because I originally thought it might have been cover 2 because Marlon Humphrey stays low here, but Stephens immediately sprinting back and them not being in man elsewhere on the field. You can see everywhere else they're in zone made me think cover 6, and you can kind of see those are the underneath coverages right there. So Brandon Stephens has to protect that deep 1 quarter, and T. Higgins just gets by him. Now, yes, it's a PBU for sure, but if we're looking at scheme versus execution, I think schematically they were well set up there to protect that deep ball by having 3 defenders back there, and also having Higgins run into one of the 1 quarters. They had it covered up pretty well. It's just, again, Brandon Stephens running with his back to the ball was a constant problem in this game. Keep rolling along here. Now you're going to get Marlon Humphrey against T. Higgins. They're going to be in what I believe is cover 2. Could be cover 1. But either way, you're getting man coverage down here between Marlon and T. And this is kind of, the age-old thing, right? Outside wide receiver, you can only help them so much schematically unless you're going to bracket them. And T. Higgins gets to you can see right here, this is your line to gain for a first down. T. Higgins just bullies Marlon Humphrey at the line to gain, first down. I'm not sure how much a coordinator can help you unless you want them to bracket them constantly, which we did see on that one play. Had no problem with doing that opposite on the Mike Gesicki catch. Had no problem doing that on that play specifically because they set up a bunch with a boundary receiver below that. Keep rolling along here. Now, this is going to be the big one. So this is the Jamar Chase touchdown at the end of the half. And so this is probably one of the better plays. Now, I did originally think this was cover 4 again, and I thought you had your deep 1/4, and then Eddie Jackson down here playing the 1/2. However, you're going to see him come down. You're going to see, and let's run it through and I'll explain why. I'm pretty sure it's cover 3, and this is on Marlon Humphrey. And so you see right there, so Marcus Williams is sticking tight to this hash, which made me think he was in a 1 quarter instead of a 1/3. And you're going to see him turn right there. He's going to turn his hips outwards, which is why I started to think that. Folks I talk to that know a lot more about coverages than me thinks he's protecting against the post corner because Marlon Humphrey should be back here in the other 1/3 in cover 3, meaning you have 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Eddie Jackson coming underneath would be the robber in cover 3. So that does make sense. I can't fathom Jackson blowing this coverage that bad. And essentially what I think Marlon Humphrey's doing, because that's the question. You go look at the pre-snap look. Marlon Humphrey's here, and he should be dropping back into the 1/3, which is exactly where the touchdown was scored. And Marcus Williams didn't carry him over because he's expecting a coverage man to be there. The Bengals are in trips to the wide side of the field. You have a tight end in here, but no boundary receiver. I think Marlon Humphrey cheated, basically. So you're going to see him move back a little bit, but he's going to cheat up on the crossing route right here rather than potentially protect, which, I mean, there's no reason to cheat on that because you have the robber coming down, right, from that initial too high safety look. He's going to come down. Marlon should be going back to exchange it, and you can see Marlon hesitates right there. He freezes, and it opens that deep 1/3, which is exactly where Burrow's going to throw the ball. So everybody on the broadcast was screaming at Marcus Williams. I don't think Marcus Williams did anything wrong here. I think, people are going to say he probably should have followed here. In zone coverage, if you're in, it actually doesn't even matter if it's in cover 4 or cover 6, or cover 3. There should be a zone defender here, and he's playing his leverage point. He protected from the post corner where he'd come up like that and then corner out, and he did his job. So as much as Marcus Williams had a bad game in this one, this isn't why. That's on Marlon Humphrey to be back there in his 1/3 playing cover 3. He misses it. That's 1 touchdown allowed by Marlon Humphrey in this game. And you can kind of see the exchange right there between him and Jackson. He's going to point at Jackson. Jackson's pointing at him. They're discussing what happened there. Keep rocking on here. Again, sticks coverage against Nate Wiggins. Line to gains right there, right at the bottom of your screen. Let me move this so you guys can see it better. And again, we're running past the line to gain down here, and we're just bullying our corners. You see that little push off there, which they're letting them play. Wiggins got away with some grabbing at a later date, so they're letting them play. But again, skill versus execution. Their better players are just making plays right now. Keep moving here. And this is going to be that deep pass to the guy who I can't say his name. Iasovas. So they're going to be in what looks like cover 2 to me. So you have man coverage here between Wiggins and Andre. Let's call him Andre. And then you got man coverage up here with 2 deep safeties and Wiggins. And the reason he plays this, you can see the orange mark right here when that goes away. So there's your line to gain. There's your first down. So right at this point, above the 30-yard line, he's trying to play the stem. He's trying to play sticks coverage. So watch this again as they approach the 30. Nate Wiggins trying to play sticks coverage. You're going to see right there, he's going to freeze, and he just continues on past him. He tried to play sticks coverage, trying to prevent that pass. He tried to cheat, and they hit him deep. And so, again, scheme versus execution. If you're going to play that sticks coverage, he doesn't have safety help over to this side. He's going to play the wider side of the field. Again, it looks like they're bracketing Jamar Chase. That's likely a check pre-snap. Nate Wiggins has to know he doesn't have that help directly over his head. So when he cheats up, which I understand why he's cheating up, he's trying to play the sticks, he gives that up. Bengals go on to score. So again, execution. We're going to see more here. Jamar Chase getting a big first down. He's just going to he's just going to crack off a route against Brandon Stevens, make him fall over. Again, execution issues happening over and over and over again. You guys are sick of hearing about it. I'm sick of talking about it. This one pissed me off, I won't lie. So they're going to run what should have been Mike Gesicki right here is going to run what he's going to call a slant, but he straight up steps into Trent Simpson. They're in man coverage here. So watch Gesicki. That's a moving pick. Offensive pass interference. That ball should have come back. So I threw this in because I'm not faulting anybody on this. That's straight up a penalty on a rub route. He purposely right here steps into him. So it wasn't like he just got in his way and stood there. He purposely moves back to his left. Absolute trash that they missed something like that. Like, that was so obvious. Keep moving on here. And this one is going to be one that's execution to a T. Jamar Chase going for that screen. So let's go back here. They're going to motion Jamar Chase across. So he originally isn't in the slot here. They're going to motion him over here to the slot, and they see they're in zone because Roquan walks out. They got Marcus Williams over top, but that's part of why this was such a good play for them. They're going to see they got the 3-on-2 look here because it's going to be a bubble screen. So as they throw this, right there, you got your numbers, right? You got 2 blockers on 2 DBs. Well, that's actually Malik Harrison right there, but he essentially just needs to work upfield after he catches this against the linebacker. And so Roquan Smith, Marcus Williams take terrible angles. As soon as Roquan sees this, he should not be going directly at him. He should be working more laterally, trying to cut him off. And Jamar hits this between the 2 players. And so we'll look at the other angle because Malik Harrison made a mistake here, but it's hard to explain from this angle. And then Marcus Williams, being the safety, has to step up and make a tackle here. And he just over pursues his run lane completely. I'll go to the other angle so we can take a look. Let's get up to the catch. Okay. So it's going to be caught here. So when you end up in a situation like this, Malik Harrison should be driving outside for his leverage points. Because they're in zone behind him, he knows he's going to have two players here, because no matter what else happened on this play, they're not going to, like, if a running back ran a swing route here, it wasn't going to pull Roquan, right? So he has to be the force defender and cut outside to force him back inside. Instead, Malik Harrison loses his leverage point right here against a wide receiver and gives up that lane up the middle, which is what messed up Roquan's lane. So Roquan should have taken a better angle, but he's likely expecting him to force him here, force that inside so that he can clean up here. So I get it from Roquan's perspective, less upset about that. Marcus Williams, no matter what, takes a terrible angle, and Jamar Chase goes for a touchdown there. So again, we would look at that. I don't know how you can look at that, be too upset with a defensive play call that the players completely busted for that massive touchdown. And now here we're going to get into what I do think is a scheme issue, because it's not that Zach Orr's, completely off the hook. You guys, if you watched my video on the Dallas Cowboys game about the soft zones and coverage, the middle of the field gets exploited constantly. It looks like the Ravens want to funnel the ball into the middle of the field when they can and then attack. And so that's fine, but you need to have a little bit stronger coverage. And so one of the fundamental issues with schematically when they're doing this is they get Roquan or Kyle Hamilton, we'll see on another play. They come up and they mug the A-gap, and then Roquan has to drop back from the line of scrimmage and cover this massive area. So you're going to see two things on this play. So Higgins is just running, an up and slant, basically. And so because you're going to have this zone drop here, Marlon Humphrey plays this with outside leverage. And like I said, he's trying to push that ball into the middle, but Roquan had to drop from the line of scrimmage to cover the middle of the field against a receiver. Joe Burrow just delivers a perfect ball against that zone, and Marlon Humphrey isn't able to jump on that. So if they want to play this way, whatever, I don't really see the purpose in mugging the A-gap constantly and then asking Roquan to drop back and cover the lake here, because again, I think that's why Marlon Humphrey's walling off this way. He's trying to force that ball into the middle, but that's a massive underlying zone for Roquan Smith to cover. So I know people are saying Roquan's got to be better in zone. That's a tough ask against a wide receiver, especially when you're dropping him from the line of scrimmage. So middle of the field continues to be, a bit of a soft spot. You're going to see Roquan and Kyle Hamilton, they're mugging both A-gaps on this play. Roquan's going to drop back. And essentially the same thing. They're just going to run this underneath, and it's in that massive area underneath the safeties. So that middle of the field continues to be an exploited area. Here you're going to get, this ends up being a drop. So the reason I wanted to show this, because it's going to come rear its head later. So they're going to basically do what the Bengals were doing. So we're showing not cover zero, but they're showing blitz. They got 7 across the line. Roquan's there, Hamilton's there. And then they're going to bring some. They're going to drop out Hamilton, Roquan, and Matabike. And they're going to force 1, 2, 3 across. But they're only rushing 3, so Burrow's able to sit there. And again, there's that massive lake of coverage that Matabike is dropping into. So now he does drop it, fair enough. But if this is thrown a little bit better, now Marcus Williams did step up and deliver the tackle, or he was about to hit him, so maybe the ball comes out, who knows. But still, that soft spot in the middle of the field continues to be an area that teams are targeting. And you're going to get the same thing here. So this is what I mean by it's going to rear its ugly head. So Matabike is the one dropping here. So he's going to drop into zone coverage, and Higgins on the outside here is just coming in on a slant. And so he just completely destroys the ankles of Eddie Jackson, and Matabike is your zone defender dropping back out of that tight look. The ball's right here, so Burrow delivers it perfectly off the slant. So they're asking their players. You see see Eddie Jackson set, excuse me, with outside leverage, forcing him inside, but then you're asking your defensive tackle to drop back and be a zone defender on that. So it's just creating way too many easy areas. So I guess at the conclusion of this video, really what I want you guys to take away, or at least what I'm seeing, is there is a bit of both. I'm not trying to say Zach Orr is exonerated. There's been multiple games where I see them attacking the middle of the field, and I think that's becoming a pretty big issue. But it's not... I think the player execution in this game was a bigger issue. Blowing coverage, miscommunications between the secondary, guys not playing their zone, guys just straight up getting beat by outside receivers that are one of the best duos in the league. So that's kind of my takeaway from this. I'm really curious to hear from you guys. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and hit subscribe if you're new here. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other. And thank you to BetUS for sponsoring this video.